Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another very overdue video from the Canal Sidings Model Railway channel. The reason that it's taken me so long to do another video is because it's just been too cold in here. It's been one of those strange winters where we've had, rather than going from really freezing cold back to mild and then back to freezing cold for short spells, we've just had a constant, it's too cold to be in here, but it isn't, but there's no frosts or anything. Very odd winter we've just had, really. But at least there was no snow. But the temperature in here was typically around about 14 or 15 degrees C, which I'm afraid is too cold for me. I'm not a cold-loving person in that respect. I much prefer, at least, if I'm going to have to sit around in it, 2021 is my minimum, and preferably a little higher than that. If I'm moving about like I am today doing this video and I've got a nice jumper on, then I can handle about 17 or 18. It's about 18 or 19 in here today, I think, so not too bad. Anyway, again, apologies for how long it's been. My last video was 17th of December, I think, 2019, when coronavirus hadn't even been thought of. Well, there we go. So, what have I been doing? Well, I've been doing any modelling that I can in the living room where it's nice and warm. And I've been there with my portable table and my little chair, and I've done all sorts of different things. I've spent time in here making my 3D printer go, and then making sure it's still going by watching it on a web browser in that room while I've been doing other jobs. I've done research into JMRI and the program I use for running the railway, or helping to run the railway. I've been researching all sorts of stuff on that. I've been looking at the DCC standard to make sure that I fully understand that. I have been playing with motors and remotoring things, and I continued with the work I was doing on the bridge, or the bridges as well, until I came to a stop. So, without further ado, I'd like to say thanks to all the subscribers who've stayed with me, and all the new ones that I seem to have picked up. There've been quite a few new subscribers have come along during this time that I've not been making videos. So, thank you to everybody, and as I always say, I will try to make more videos, but it's not always easy to come up with a topic while I'm actually doing my railway. I envy people like Charlie Bishop of Chadwick Model Railway, who always seem to have something new that they can come up with, and they can talk about it for ages, and it's always interesting. I find it more difficult. I have to do what I want to do and then talk about that, and that's not always as interesting. Anyway, let's get on with the video, because I've got a feeling it's going to be quite long. So let's go and have a look at the first thing. Well, here we are at the valley section of the layout, which, as you can see, scenic wise and hardware wise, hasn't progressed at all. It's because I need to be in here to do it. But it does follow on from the last video when I was actually building these, which are the side pieces for the bridge. And if you look at the last video, you'll see how they were built. And I still had quite a few to do. I have now built all of those, and I have also built this piece, which goes between the two tracks on the long thing, on the double track bridge. And I've got all three tracks done here as well. So that is all complete and ready to assemble, but I can't actually do any assembly until I have spent some time weathering the bridges and getting the ends of the section sorted out, the ends of the valley section of the layout sorted out, such that the bridges will sit in position. And then we can start thinking about putting the piers in. Now, what you might already have noticed is that I have printed, I'll just spin you around and zoom you in a bit. Try not to zoom you too fast. Those pillars are actually 3D printed, and that the white one standing there is also a 3D printing. I'll just pick the white one up and show it to you. Just turn this back round so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, this is a 3D printed pillar. Get it far enough away. It's got a base and a top, and I've started to paint it. And these little pips here that are 3D printed on the top, these little pips here and here, are what hold up what you can see some of on here, which are the shoes that sit on top of the concrete that the bridge sits on, and they allow the bridges to move a little bit. This takes about 9, it's just hollow, but it takes on my printer about 9 hours to print. And the bigger ones, because that's a single track one, these are double track, they take about 13 or 14 hours each to print. And they're hollow as well. The base is printed separately, sorry, the top is printed separately, and it's glued on afterwards. Because otherwise you'd have to have supports all the way through. But even being hollow like that, they take an enormous amount of material. And what I intend to do is cover them with this kind of stuff, which is stone paper. I'm not sure I like the brown colour, but it was the best I could get, the browny tint to it. But it's a bit shiny, so what I'll do is I will mat it down with some matte medium, and I will then weather it with some mid to dark grey weathering powders, so that we will be able to get it nearer to the grey that I would like. If I zoom you in a little further and move you up like that, zoom you in a bit further, you'll be able to see, I hope that's still in focus, you'll be able to see the shoes that are going to hold the bridge up. There are two, because there are two bridges on each one of those piers. And see if we can zoom in even closer. I don't think I can. Try to go, oh no, it goes out of focus too quickly. Don't think it's going to focus any better than there. But they are 3D printed as well, obviously 3D printed separately to the piers. But all of those had to be designed, and all of that has been done during the winter period. But as I say, the next job I really need is to, before I can fit all the bits to the bridges, I need to find out exactly where the bridges are going to sit, and get all the track laid up to them so that I can position them precisely, and then I can fit all the bits and pieces on them. But I also need to weather the bridges, and cold weather. The cold of winter is not conducive to painting. I like to weather most of the time using not acrylics, the other one, enamels. So I have to do it in here, and I like to have plenty of ventilation when I do enamel weathering. So that is as far as I got with the bridge, and then I had to stop. So what I'll do is I'll show you the next thing that I started on after I'd had enough with bridges. By the way, I've still got 2 more of the large bridge piers to print, to 3D print. That's about 28 hours of printing, and 3 more of the small bridge piers to print. That's another 27 hours of 3D printing. So my printer is going to be worked hard, and of course I need some more of the bridge shoes, which I think I print them in 4s, and that takes about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour to print those. So long way to go yet, but we are getting to the stage now where I can get in here, and the first thing I'm going to have to do is a damn good clear up, because it is a tip in here. It is an absolute tip. So I need to sort that out. So what we do is we go on to the next thing that I've been doing this winter. Okay, what you've just been watching is a remoted Lima locomotive. This one actually has a 6-volt motor in it. The Lima armature has been completely removed. So if we look at a Lima, if we look at what we've got, I'll come over nearer to the camera. This is a Lima Cocoa bogie, which has been stripped of everything electrical that is Lima. And what we do with that is we 3D print an adapter, and we have a little motor, which is a 6-volt motor, and that goes into the adapter. I'm not going to push it all the way in because I've left the wires hanging out at the bottom, and they should come out through that little hole up there, but I'm not going to push it all the way. And once you've got the motor in there, you then put the adapter into the original Lima bogie, replace the 2 screws that came out that held the original backing plate on, and that is pretty much the conversion. The only other thing is you need a new little gear. This is actually one for a Hornby loco, but they're similar. You can buy the gears for about £1 for 20. The adapters cost virtually nothing to print, but they just take time. And the motors, these are still available, the 6-volt ones. You can get them from AliExpress for about 60p each. You can, I'm not supplying the parts for it, but if you go over to strathpefferjunction.com or his YouTube channel, Strathpefferjunction, you will be able to find all sorts of information on 3D printed parts, and he will supply them to you as well. He will also supply motors, etc. I'm not going to get into that business. I'm not going to take his thunder away. I used his parts to start with to see just how well you could make a Lima loco run, and as you can see, although there's a little bit of gear whine, they are capable of running pretty well. You just don't want to wind them up more than about 6 volts. This is running on pure DC at the moment. If I run it up to 6 volts, That's how fast the loco will go running at 6 volts. It will run at 12, but I wouldn't like to say how long for. And I've spent a lot of time because I've done that one. I've done this one, I've done this one and this one. They've all got 6 volt motors in them. Other than that, they are standard Lima. That tells me what I've got. The rear bogie, the rear carrier, is just the standard Lima. This one happens to have shiny wheels, which is quite unusual for Lima. This one also has shiny wheels. Okay, pick up one that doesn't. This one doesn't have such shiny. Oh, it does. Oh, obviously got 3 lots of shiny wheels. Yeah, all those 3 have shiny wheels. I have some more Limas that I want to do that have the original Lima wheels. But I'm not intending to change the wheels. These just happen to be 3 very modern chassis which ran badly the way Lima chassis usually do. Despite my abhorrence of traction tyres, these still have their traction tyres because without them they couldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding. So that's 4 that I've done there. These I've actually done with 12 volt motors. These are also Lima and they've still only got a single motor bogie, but these will run up to 12 volts. So if I put that down, unfortunately it appears that the 12 volt motors are no longer available, which is, sorry, that's not what I'm trying to say. The larger 6 volt motors that I've got in those are no longer available. The 12 volt motors are definitely available and you can get them from Strathpeffer Junction. The larger 6 volt motors are not available anymore, but the smaller 6 volt motors, which are a little bit thinner than this one, are now available. The advice is don't overrun them. To be honest, I've run one for a couple of hours pulling a dead Lima loco about that's just had its gears removed, so you're pulling the whole weight of the loco. I ran it for a couple of hours and it really didn't get that hot. But that's what you're advised. Go to strathpefferjunction.com, link in the bottom of the video, and you'll be able to learn more about all of this. As I say, I've done those. This one's got a 12 volt motor, so if we run this one up, this is a class 26. As you can see, I can wind this round a lot further. That's doing about 10 volts. I can't get much more than that out of that. But still with their traction tyres on, so they still have that habit of juddering a little bit. But they run far better and always run that way. I find Lima motors get stuck. They always run okay. Not only can you do it with Limas, and I've got 3 more Limas here that I want to do, and I've got motors for them. Not only that, but you can do it with Hornby as well. This is a Hornby class 86. It has 2 12 volt motors in it. And it has no traction tyres because it's got 2 motor bogies. And it will pull. It pulls as well as any loco of its weight does. It doesn't suffer from any problems of traction or anything like that, and it also doesn't judder too badly. This is another one that's actually got 2 9 volt motors in, which I've just lost my little, oh no I haven't, I've got it in my hand. I've lost it now. The pantograph won't stay down on this loco, but I've got to make a little adjustment. This one's got 2 9 volt motors, so that's a bit of a loss. And this one pulls well too. as you can see, goes faster. But I do intend to put DCC decoders in, and I know that these will work really well. Just one DCC decoder per loco. But that is something that I've been doing for absolutely ages, since the winter started. Quite a lot of work involved there, but if you're interested, you will find other pieces of information about remotoring Lima. There is a version that actually says drop the motor into, obviously fitting the gear. I'm just dropping it in, hang on, can't seem to get it going, there we are. Drop the motor in like that and then fill all the way round it with hot melt glue. I didn't fancy that, but it will work. People have done it. So you don't have to have a 3D printed part. He said throwing the motor on the floor. But the 3D printed parts will make life easier and more pleasant. Will make life easier and more pleasant, as I say. So that's the second thing that I've spent a lot of my winter doing. And of course, designing these, he said coming up towards the camera, designing these does take time, and making them print. I've had quite a lot of, I had to spend quite a lot of effort to make them print, and make them print nicely so that the holes are just about the right size and just need a minor amount of opening up and things like that. But well worth it, I think, because I've resurrected quite a few Limas. I mean, if we take this one, I don't know anything about this, but this is an old Lima. I've got a feeling this one runs quite well. This is an original Lima motor. There's the Lima hum. And eventually it takes off. And I've got my controller set around to about 8.5 volts now to get it to go. But you see, it's getting a little bit better, and now it's got stuck again. They just graunch and grind. The motors just are not smooth running. And I say that's round at about, well, that's now just about 6 volts. It wouldn't go at that to start with. So that's what I've been doing, and I don't find DCC decoders make a lot of difference to that, but they will make difference to the other Limas. I mean, this one here, for instance, that we started with, is a little bit hesitant at low speed. It's got better as it's been running, but it will hesitate a little bit at low speed sometimes. But of course, when it's got a DCC controller in it, DCC decoder in it, and that is running with its back EMF on, then that will actually push that loco along much more smoothly. At least that's the theory. Haven't tried it yet. None of them have got lights, of course. Lima didn't have lights, but I've put lights in Lima locos before, so I'm sure that ultimately that will be done. But there will be no rush to get them all with lights, and certainly not much in the way of sound is going to go into them. I'd rather put sound in better locos. So that's the second thing that I've spent a lot of this winter doing. All sitting in the living room on my little portable table in the warm. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll turn over to the next thing that I've been doing. What you're looking at now is a simple test track made just from a circle of Hornby second radius curves, which are quite convenient to put down. And this is really the next video in the series of the ones that I was doing some time ago. I can't remember exactly how long now, on making some block signalling, i.e. signals that followed the trains rather than controlled the trains. But it's long been a nagging thing in my mind that I could at least get trains to stop at red signals, and when the signal changed, to go to start up again. Now, of course, in DCC that isn't that easy to achieve, because it depends upon the address of the locomotive, or of the train if it's a multiple unit, as to how you would stop it and then start it again. Or does it? Well, there are several ways in DCC, that it turns out anyway, that you could stop a train realistically. Now, what I mean by that is, if I start that locomotive going there, and it starts to run, let it get up to a little bit of speed, to go as fast as it's going to go. If I now stop it, it doesn't stop instantly. It continues to run for a little way. And when it does stop, its lights stay on. And if it had sound, you would expect its sound to stay on. Not only that, you would expect its sound to play correctly, so that you heard the diesel engine notch down and notch back up again as it started again. That's what I want to achieve at a red signal. And it turns out, as I say, that there are a few ways that you might be able to do it. The first one is called ABC. That is either automatic braking control or asymmetric braking control. I've heard it mentioned as both. Unfortunately, in order to do that, you need a decoder in every locomotive that understands asymmetric braking control. Cheap decoders don't. And while we're on the subject, even some not so cheap decoders like Hornby do not understand it, and neither do some of the other relatively cheap decoders. Certainly the Hatton's 10 quid decoders that I've used in the past and the Lay's DCC decoders that I now use do not understand asymmetric braking. But it will do exactly what I want to do. But I'm certainly not going to replace all my 10 quid DCC decoders in my locos for 30 quid ones like Lens in order to get ABC. You will find ABC on Zimo decoders and on ESU Locksound decoders, which generally are what are used in this country for sound. But again, nobody has all their locos sound encoded, sound fitted, and a lot of people use TTS decoders, and they are Hornby, and they will not work under that circumstance of ABC. So that one's a non-starter, far too expensive, 30 quid a decoder. If I've got 50 locos, then you can work it out for yourself. It's almost mortgage territory. The next thing I came across was brake on DC, which is exactly what it says. If the locomotive suddenly hits a section of track that is set to DC, i.e. there is no DCC signal on it, and that locomotive's decoder recognises brake on DC, then it will stop gradually according to its momentum, and will leave its lights and its sound on. Unfortunately, that isn't the general case. Of all the locos I've got here, the one that's on the track and these other 5 2 of them work perfectly with brake on DC, and the other 3 either work badly or not at all. You do have to switch off the ability for the locomotive to run on DC, which I find is a little bit of a disadvantage, because when you want to test a loco on the workbench, it's really nice to be able to just shove a 9-volt battery across the wheels and see if it turns. And you can do that even with a DCC fitted loco, so long as you've got it switched in CV29 bit 012 bit 2 to actually work on DC. So that, although it sounded like a really good idea, and a lot of companies actually have little pieces of circuitry to help you do it, and I've seen plenty of videos where it works, it's not going to work for me. Again, too many locos just don't respond to it. But there's another way, and that is if you can send any locomotive running on DCC a broadcast stop packet. Packets are just a way of sending commands to the DCC locos. They're sent through the track. If you can send a broadcast stop package, the locomotive will stop, irrespective of what its address is. Not only that, but if you then continue to broadcast on the DCC after that, its own address at the speed it was set to go at, it will start up again and run. Now what this in fact means is you have to have a section of track, which is the braking section we'll call it, that can be switched either into the main DCC command station where you control the trains, i.e. the one I'm using now to make this loco go. This happens to be my power cab. But you also need to be able to switch it to another DCC output that is doing nothing more than transmitting the broadcast stop packet. I'm not going to go into all these packets, I'm not going to make this technical at all, I just want to show you how it works, and if anybody wants me, if there are enough people that want me to go into great detail about how I've done it, then I will. And I'll make a video on it, but I will need a significant number of I want to know, I want to do this. You know, 3 or 4 people, it's just not worth it. I shall get people will tell me that they didn't want to know that, and that they won't be happy about my videos. I've had that in the past. So I'm just showing you what I'm thinking of doing and how I'm thinking of doing it on my layout. So I have my power cab. This light is the power cab's track power, and it says it's powered. And I also have here a Sprog 3, which is controlled by a Raspberry Pi computer. For anybody who doesn't know what a Raspberry Pi computer is, it is just a small computer, 32 quid, can run Linux, and if it can run Linux, it can run JMRI, which, as a lot of you will know, I use for my railway a lot. And it is just it's just dedicated to running JMRI, which is constantly sending out the stop packet, the broadcast stop packet, through here to another pair of DCC leads. Now the track is fed here with one set of leads, and I have here a switch. This switch is able to power this whole circuit of track either from the power cab or from the Sprog. At the moment, as you can tell, I'll change that loco's direction, it's doing the power cab. It's switching to the power cab. But if I switch it the other way, what happens is that I switch it into being the output of the Sprog, as I'm going to do now. Miraculously, the loco coasts gracefully to a stop. Its lights stay on. You possibly can't see that from the camera angle, but I can assure you the lights are still on. And if I flick the switch back, off goes the loco again, because it's now back on the power cab, which is still sending out the same signal that it was sending out before. And if I go a bit faster, we'll let it go quite a lot faster, and we'll catch it. I'll use that white card as the point at which I detect the loco in the section. And I've just switched it, and the loco is slowing down. Now you notice that the distance that it runs is entirely dependent on the speed of the loco. That would be adjustable if I was using ABC, asymmetric brake control, but far too expensive, so I'm not prepared to use that. If the loco is running in the other direction, which I can do, I will change the direction on my power cab. The loco doesn't do anything because it's not seeing it. As soon as I flick this switch back, the loco will go the other way, simply because it's now back under control of the power cab. And all of the locos that I've got here basically will do that. I'm just going to stop this one. Right, if we take that one off now, and I'll put this one on. That happens to have a Lay's DCC decoder in it, a cheap 10 quid decoder. I'll put this one on. It's a Vitrains loco, by the way. I'll put this one on, which is one that also you've seen. So I don't like this because it's got traction tyres. I just need to make sure I got this on the track. Yep, I have. Okay, just change the address. There we go, that's the address of this loco. We'll make it go that way. So we'll make it go forward, and we'll go. And that's how slowly that loco starts. Okay, now this is a Vitrains loco which has got a Lima body on it because I couldn't get hold of the Vitrains body of that large logo. And I modified it. I'm just going to stop it again. I'll just use the emergency stop to stop it here. As you can see, the lights are on, I hope. Okay, the lights are not on. Let me turn the lights on. The lights are on now. But this loco has a Zimo decoder in it. So, it has sound. Now I know it's quite loud, and you might not be able to hear me, but just watch what I do. I'm going to do exactly the same as I did to that loco, and we'll see what happens. And I will use that flag over there as my stopping point. Okay, I'll stop it this time. Passes the sensor. Silly me. So I had to stop it because it's really hard to talk over it. It is, as you know, quite loud. But you saw that it did exactly the same as that loco. What I didn't do was start it up again, but that's exactly the same as starting it up from there. You know, if I flick that, I flick that back again, having run that to there, flick that back again, and it will start up just normally after a signal stop. As I say, all the locos that I've got here will stop. Turn that off now. But now time for another rant. This loco is a little different. Annoyingly, a tiny little bit different. And it's annoying because it is the kind of thing that a lot of people will have and will be really unhappy that they can't use something like this. Okay, I'll just select it. That's the one. Not sure which way it goes. I think it has to go that way. No, it doesn't. It does go the right way. Okay. Okay. Now you can see its lights are on. It's creeping along. Bit fast, I think. I think that's fast enough. And as you can see, its lights are on. Now what I'm going to do the next time round is I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to start the stopping sequence. I'll do that again because it didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. I want it to stop here, so I'm going to stop it a little bit further round. I'm going to stop it more like there. If I've got this right, you'll be able to see the lights, I hope. Now watch the lights. Good old Hornby. It's a TTS decoder, and it's driving the loco and the lights. When I switch this back on, the lights will come on again. This is down to Hornby yet again, and so many times I've said, why do Hornby not follow the rules of basic DCC? They don't. What this is sending out is a packet that says, and it's exactly the right packet, that says, when you see this packet, stop, under control of your momentum, and ignore the direction bit that I'm sending you, because it is a loco running packet. It just happens to have an address that everybody responds to. And it says ignore the direction bit. Hornby get it right. They do respond to the stop packet, but they don't respond to that bit that says ignore the stop, the direction bit. And so what happens when it stops is it reverses its lighting. Which is really infuriating. Everything else works. If I bring it back down to 0 for a minute, switch it back so that it's working. Yeah, if I go one speed step, they'll change direction again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start the sound. And you'll see the sound works perfectly. The lighting is the problem. Off we go. I'm just checking I've got the right speed. And now we'll brake. About there should do. Not quite the right place. We'll bring it round a little further with the brakes on. Okay. Sound is doing exactly the right thing. But it's reversed the direction. Why, Hornby? Why can you not get anything DCC right? I really don't understand Hornby. Anyway, that's me rant over about Hornby. This is one of the things that I've been doing in this nearly 3 months that I've been without a video. And I'm going to try and include it on my layout. As you can see, I haven't at the top here. I haven't done any more work in here because, as I've said in the earlier part of the video, it just hasn't been warm enough in here. It's not that warm today, but it's warm enough for me to be in here. So I'm going to wrap this video up now. That's not cheering, I hear, is it? Because it has been quite long. I don't know how long it's gone on for, but there's been a lot of it. As I say, if you do want more information about the way to build your layout with a broadcast stop packet, then I will do a video on it, but I will wait. If you've got plenty of time to tell me that you would like to, I always look at my comments and I will make a note, but I'm going to need to get at least 30 or 40 people who want to see it. Otherwise, I'm just not going to go ahead. So, but I will wait until it's working on the layout so you can see a real train coming up to a signal and stopping without me doing anything. Because that's the whole point. So if I have a signal that is red because the route ahead of it is set against it so that I can bring a train out of my fiddle yard, I want a train coming the other way to stop for me. Let me take the train across, then I'll set the route back and that train can carry on again. And that's something that I find real hard work at the moment on this layout because my fiddle yard is connected via a crossover to the inner track and 2 crossovers to the very inner track on the new layout. So, as I say, if you want more information, I will do a video, but not now. I will do the video when I've got everything set up, which will probably, I can believe it will be another year before I get there. But thank you for watching. Anybody who's come this far, I really say thanks for watching. Thanks to all my subscribers. I noticed that I haven't really lost very many subscribers. In fact, I don't think I lost any. I think I've been still picking them up. Thank you for all the new subscribers and all the people who are subscribing. And I will try to provide videos a bit more often, but I'm not that good at working out when to do another video. So thanks very much. Bye for now.